Hello everyone, my name is Travis and welcome to my channel for those of you who are new, and for those of you who are returning, well, welcome back. So decided to go ahead and shoot this video today because I have a laptop that I will be selling to someone at work, and they simply came up to me while I was on my way out and they were asking me, "Hey Travis, do you have a laptop that I can use or have, or do you have something for a desktop?" And I said, "Well, I do have a laptop at home. Yeah, what of it?" And he simply said, "Are you willing to sell it?" And I said, "Well, yeah, if the price is right, yeah." He's like, "Well, how much are you offering for it?" And I looked at that and I was thinking, that's kind of hard to answer, not because it's a laptop and I've had it, but because I've had it for 10 years and I've never really thought about putting a price tag on something that I've kind of grown to, and it's practically like my child. It's like selling a kid. You don't put a price tag on family. So with this laptop, it's kind of like that. So I said, "I'll go ahead and get back to you if I can go ahead and get your number," and we went from there. Well, I gave him the price for this baby right here, this 2009 HP Pavillion. I did tell him it is about a decade old, so it's not going to have the same type of support that your modern day laptops have, simply because a lot of that support actually stopped rolling out around 2015 or so for this particular laptop. What am I exactly doing? Well, for starters, we are replacing this bottom plate. We are upgrading this baby right here. So this is a 4 gig stick of RAM that came with the laptop, and it's so dim. We're actually replacing this entire piece. Now you're probably wondering, why would I replace the entire keyboard? Well, this technically works. The keyboard is fully functional, the trackpad works, and the bumpers work, but the problem is, if you notice here, versus, I mean, you could probably see it. Way back in the day, I used to be on a social media site called Gaia Online. I still am, but it's more for like the economic portion of it now, as opposed to actually using it for what it was intended for. But I used to play that on this as well as the Acer a lot, and it was kind of like, wow, Facebook was still growing, Twitter was just a twinkle in my eyes, and I had this site, Gaia Online. I'm thinking, this is really cool. I've been on it since high school, starting college, kind of went through like playing some games, but this ended up getting worn out, and that bumper took a crap. It's not that it doesn't work, it does, but the plastic piece on the inside of it doesn't. It broke. So I found out you can't just simply replace that. You have to replace the whole thing. So that's what we have. And so without further ado, let me go ahead and bring this table over here so that way you can see what I exactly have on me. For the two things we have, first and foremost, I have two Phillips screwdrivers from iFixit. I actually did bought a kit because why not? And it pretty much has everything you need. So I have two different sizes here, and the reason why I have two different sizes is because one's actually going to be used for the bigger screws, whereas the smaller one's going to be used for the smaller screws. So aside from those two things, since this laptop only has one slot in it, that only means that we can upgrade it so much. So what I have here is from Micron. This is our 8 gig stick of DDR3. Actually, yeah, DDR3, and the way you can tell, I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but the way you can tell is that if you look right about here, next to the 2R/8, you're going to see some letters called P3 or PC3L. The PC3 means that it's third generation, so DDR3. Or, yeah, DDR3. So we got our 8 gig stick here. And what we have now in here is that back plate. They had many different names, but this is the back plate, as you can see here. If I flip it over, the only difference is it's not going to have any of the stickers. So basically, once I replace this, I'm not putting the stickers on there. So you can see, it's got the locking mechanism. It's very responsive and nice and hard. And yeah, let's go ahead and continue. So, boom. There we go. So now this is the top of it. Comes with our nice clicky button for our power. Keyboards are all fully functioned. I actually verified with the seller that I bought this from if everything worked, and they actually do verify that. They have. So, trackpad, and hear this. Whereas the first one, this was actually out. So it's like clack, 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 and not that click, click, click. And as you can tell, there you go. So let me show you guys real quick. So if you notice right here, there's this little itty bitty part right here, this plastic piece. This is pretty much what allows the triggers to fully engage and make that clicking sound. Well, one of the sides, I forget which one it is now, but one of them actually broke, and they broke kind of like right here or right here, somewhere there, which gives it that clack feel or that clack sound. But it still works, it makes contact, but it just wasn't there. So let's go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and I'll set you guys up so that way we can go through this journey together. First thing we're going to do with any type of repair you do on any device, any type of laptop, desktop, stuff like that, is to make sure you shut it off and disconnect all sorts of power. With a desktop, you could just simply unplug the power supply in the back and shut it off that way, or go through the proper shutdown procedures. Or with a laptop in this case, first you power it down, and then from there you're going to go ahead and we're going to eject the battery. So see, so over this you actually just push this little knob right here, and it actually does eject the battery. So first we disconnect all sorts of power from here, so that way we don't have to deal with that, because we are going to be replacing this. We're going to be disconnecting all of that. Second thing we do, we're going to go ahead and, because, okay, see, this is why if you don't have nails like me, because I really don't have nails, you could just go ahead, and I would suggest use a flathead if you don't have nails. Since I do have nails, and I got fingers that have good grippy powers, sure, that's a thing. We're gonna go ahead and disconnect, or take off our cover that goes to our part of our motherboard. And from here, we're gonna go ahead and disconnect our SODIMM module, or SODIMM RAM stick. And from here, this is where we're going to go ahead and start disconnecting stuff. So remember, we're going to be upgrading this, so there's no point to keep it in here. So now from here, we're going to go ahead and now we're going to start disconnecting. And then we just simply slide out the optical drive. Boom. I'll put that to the side. Don't worry, it's not going to fall. Majority of the weight is on the table. So now from here, now this is where we start unscrewing things. So we got our screws here. So we got our screw here, here. Of course, we will have them here. And that looks like it's about it, at least from what I can see here. So we go ahead, depending on how tight you've actually tightened all of these screws, if you've done this before, then it will depend on how tight it will be to unscrew them. But once you have all 3 of these screws unscrewed, here's what we're actually going to do. Again, if your magnetism on your tools are weak, you can always just do this trick. Just make sure they don't fly elsewhere. Flip over the device, and boom, right there. So we're going to go ahead and put these to the side. And that's kind of like the universal screws for this entire build, at least for me. From here, now we're going to go ahead and start unscrewing the outside. So, now that we got all those, as you can see, this is where we need to open that up, because now we're going to need to divide it or pry it open. You should use a prying tool for this, but because of the fact I am trying to figure out where some of these screws are and how we can get them out, I'm actually going to do this by hand. But do as I say, not as I do. So, we're also trying to see if we have all of our screws out. If you do, then you will definitely notice, because one, you're going to be able to get this off. As you can see, I'm running my nail. If you value your fingers, then you probably won't do that. But if you're like me, and you're just really love going against the grain on some things, then just expect some fun after this is all done. There we go. See? Comes off. And if you took off all of your things properly, then you should have no problems. So, everything is off, and as you can see, the screw did fall off, which lets us know that everything is coming according to plan. So, as you can see, this is now officially ready to come off. But why is it not fully coming off, you might ask? Well, that's actually a pretty easy question to answer. It's because we actually still have some connectors that need to be disconnected. And it was simply because of how I routed everything. So, one moment as I do this. So see, as you can see now, we've officially now fully extracted our old keyboard, but we're not going to replace that yet. We still got our bottom plate here, and as you can see, because of the lack of support, you thought I was just going to lose it all. Haha, you're funny. But as you can see, we've lost full support back here, so now we're going to go ahead and replace this bottom piece, which will give us the full support we need to be able to open and close this. So now all we have left is going to be the monitor. So we have the braces in the very back. I don't know if you can see that. So we got the brace here and the brace over here. Once we remove that, then this is going to be completely exposed, and we will go ahead and remove the optical drive connector. That will be in a second part, so stay tuned, just hold on one moment. Now, there are some things we got to do with this monitor before we can actually go forward. For example, check to see if there's any like additional pieces. So for example, with this side, I'm going to go ahead and bend this back. As you can see, we got a gold piece or brass piece here. That came from the old case. So now we're actually going to have to get rid of that. And the reason why is because, well, the new case actually already has one. So, and with the extraction of that, we can actually take our last screw out. So let's go ahead and assemble this new backplate. Alright, so we got our new keyboard on with our new trackpad and everything. This little piece here that you see. There you go, that little piece. Don't even have to worry about it anymore. We can actually throw that away. So now that we have this on, we can just simply press down on the outside areas so you hear like a nice little click like that. If you need to, you can press down on it. It's not gonna, it's not gonna crumble or anything. Especially since now we've replaced everything with new parts. Still got the tactile feel, or I guess clicky feel. So now that we have our bracket here, our little brace in the corner, we can actually just go ahead and put this down, because we're not going to need to do anything else with that anymore. We can actually flip it over, and as you can see, now we got all the exposed places where you can go ahead and start putting stuff back together. So I don't know what you guys would suggest to do first, but what I suggest, at least for me, I'm going to go ahead and put this back on, our wireless card. Why? Because it's going to be, you're going to thank us all later. Us all being just you. You're going to thank yourself later for doing it. There we go. And go ahead and anchor that baby down. Once it is in, you actually don't have to worry because your version might differ, but mine actually has a white and black area. Since this only came with the ground wire, or black wire, I'm just going to plug that part in. For this, now we're just going to go ahead and take the flap and we're going to switch it up. Boom. Put that in. Now we are in. So that is officially in. Go ahead and zoom in here. There we go. There we go. So we officially put our cable in. As you can see again, white or black. I've already put mine in because there's only one. So we're going to take this little cable right here, or this little notch underneath. Going to take this, and now we're going to tuck it underneath. It moves all the way in. And it's in. Once you know that's in, you can actually just like pull back on the cable. If it is completely in place, it should not come out. If it does, then obviously we need to go ahead and reevaluate. So we're going to zoom out just a bit. So now we're going to be focusing here. Let's go ahead and I'll move this over here and kind of zoom it in so that way you guys can see. Alright, so we got our SODIMM slot. We're going to leave that empty for now because we are actually going to upgrade. But we got our power here, so we're going to take our power cable and we are actually going to just put it in place. Like most iDevices, believe it or not, this should just go straight into place. If it doesn't, then we got ourselves a little problem. We're going to take our ribbon cable here, and now we're going to go ahead and tuck this back just a bit. Just enough so we can go ahead and push this baby in. Now again, like anything else, you should be able to pull, and it's not coming out, so that means we're in. Now what I mean by pull, I mean like a little tug. Like you shouldn't have to crank on it, because if you do pull it hard enough, you can you can yank it out. So now that we have this finished, we can go ahead and start screwing everything in, really putting things down. But you know what? Why not? We've gotten to the point now where we're pretty much at the end. That's not the sound I'm looking for. There we go. We're at the end, so okay, if we can get that out, I'm going to go ahead and take our 8 gig stick of RAM. We're just going to go ahead and slot it. Oh, sorry guys. You guys are not looking where I'm looking. So we got our 8 gig stick of RAM. If you want to put this in, you see the little notch right there. There's only usually one notch in laptops, so you don't have to worry about confusing them or flipping them, because, watch, I flip this over and insert the stick. See, I can't. Why? Because the notch is right here, and it's specifically meant for 1. You might also hear the term keyed. Yes, that's also a term we use. As you can see, it goes right in. It goes in from an angle, and it's actually designed like that because once it's in from the angle, press down, you should hear that nice little click from the retention arms. Again, you should be able to do that. Another way to one way to test out to see if this is in all the way by unlatching it. You should just simply pop up. If it doesn't, then that means there's too much pressure in one area. But push it in nice and even, and you should hear both. Now that the retention arms are in, as you can see, there's some flex to the board. That's because it's not all screwed in. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, here we go. Boom. Got our light. And woo! Alright. So it looks like everything's on. I can feel the air on the other side. That's not a really good representation. You can use like a piece of paper or a napkin or something to test that. We got our user account. That was a generic name for me. Just decided to do it because I'm so not creative with names. But so you can see, it is now like loading back in. Plus with the 8 gig stick of RAM, it's kind of like, whoa, hey there. If you want to check that out real quick, you could just use Control, Shift, and Escape for Task Manager. You'll see it pop up in just a moment. Let's check our performance. I mean, it shouldn't really be any different because with the with that, but oh yeah, look at that. See, with our memory, we got ourselves as you can see, it actually has registered. It's registered our memory right here, 8 gigs, and currently running at 7.5, 1.6 out of 7.5. There's some buffer in there and caching that causes it to show as a lower amount, but aside from that, it looks like our memory has been recognized. So now we have officially evolved from 4 to 8. This is actually the first time in 10 years that it's ever gotten a RAM upgrade, but it hasn't been the first time that it has an upgrade overall. Actually, I think everything here is pretty much an upgrade if you really look at it, because not only do we have a brand new top, we got a brand new bottom, and now we have an SSD and an extra RAM, so we are good to go. Everything checks out just fine. It's a little like because it's getting used to the new RAM, but it's actually good to go. So let me go ahead and focus the camera back, and we'll go ahead and say some parting words. So with everything that you just seen in the video, we've taken our laptop that was falling apart right here at the corners and just about anywhere else, and we've kind of repaired everything about it, put everything together, and of course we've made a few upgrades along the way. Now we have a mouse that you can click on both and actually hear the click. So it's responsive, and now the power button works, and as you've seen, it actually boots up. And it's a little rough because of that new 8 gig stick of RAM that I put in it after 10 years of using the 4 gig stick. So we've turned this laptop from 0 to hero just like that. I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next video or whatever I decide to do. But if you like this one, put a like. If you didn't, you know what to do. You can hard press the dislike button. And of course put your comments in what part of the video you liked. If you want me to do more of these repair-esque videos, I actually have a couple other devices I just recently got from eBay off their auction site, and they're both broken devices, and I'm actually going to go ahead and fix them and possibly flip them or keep them. Who knows? If you want to see more videos like this where I repair PCs and laptops, desktops, stuff like that, let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel to see more of what is yet to come. And speaking of which, of what is yet to come, stay tuned for my Ryzen Sun build. That is still coming, but this is kind of like, in between video. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next time, I guess. Next video, whatever I decide to do. Till then, ta-ta for now.